back to the channel. Welcome back to Midlife Crisis. If you like McLaren content, this is probably a video you want to pay attention to. In this video, we go back to the very first time we were here, and we are at the Vault here in San Antonio, the premier automotive storage and auto styling vendor in San Antonio, Texas, and partner with Midlife Crisis. They've allowed me to use their lift because I'm about to undertake first step in finding out what is really wrong with my transmission. If you look back when Kevin Prickett from Supercar Garage Atlanta, McMedics, was here doing the PPI at the Vault with me, we didn't see anything wrong with the transmission visually, but when we took it for a test drive and he was manually shifting with the paddles, basically going between 3,000 and 4,000 RPMs, he had a hard shift, and it was almost like a single clutch transmission or a Lamborghini hitting you to the back of the head. It's supposed to be a lot smoother. So Kevin thinks that there might be something wrong with my transmission. I hope there's nothing wrong with my transmission. At the end of that video, I begged, maybe I just need a transmission fluid flush, and he recommended those are the first steps that we need to do to investigate whether I have a further lingering transmission issue. When I have an automatic mode, I've got no issue. Shifts 1 through 7, 7 to 1, no problems. At the end of this, part 1 and part 2. So part 1 is going to be the transmission fluid and filter change, whereas part 2 is going to be the clutch filter and fluid change. We're going to take this on a test drive. We're going to recreate what Kevin did. We're going to put it in manual mode. We're going to bring the RPMs up, and we're going to do some shifts. And hopefully, and I'm praying that those hard shifts go away. If not, we're gonna have to dig deeper in, probably bring Kevin back out or ship this over to Atlanta to have him take a look at the transmission further. I'm hoping this is something simple. 45,000 miles on this McLaren 650S. I don't know if this service has ever been done. There's no record of it in the Carfax or anything in the maintenance that I've been able to find. So in doubt, do the maintenance yourself, make sure that you do it right. So I'm gonna take you through everything that we need to do in order to do the transmission fluid flush and filter exchange on McLaren 650S. If you like McLaren content, please subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button and hit that notification bell so every time we upload a new video, you get notified. I wanna thank everyone for joining. Now let's jump into it. As you can see, I have a Aero Republic carbon fiber diffuser that has seen better days. It is chopped up, it's missing fins. I only got one fin left. So what I've done, just as a kind of a precursor, is you should, although you don't have to, take off your tires so you can get access to the wheel liners, because you're gonna have to take out some hardware from the bottom of the arch liners in order to get the diffuser out. And you have to take the diffuser out in order to get to the transmission. You can kind of see it right there back there, behind the mesh, behind the camera. But I've already gone ahead and taken off everything on the bottom. It was mostly T25 Torx and some 10mm bolts. So I've got a jack stand here if you don't have a friend, because as we go to the sides to get off these side bolts right there, you're probably gonna drop the diffuser. Now, I don't wanna drop the diffuser because right back here, we've got cabling for the reverse camera and for the backup light. So we wanna make sure we're in a position to disconnect those and not rip anything as we take off the diffuser. If you guys don't remember, in my last video for the brakes, I put in different hardware than factory to keep these arch liners in. The hardware that I'm using, I'm using an Allen bit on these, and it may be different for everybody, but we're gonna go ahead and take these out. There's 4 on the bottom, 2 on each side. So as you can see, it just released the bottom here, and then it's going to just kind of flop down there. We've got the part stand holding up this side as we remove the other side. All right, last one. It's got the part stand holding it up, so I'm gonna release the part stand. Now I gotta remove the connections for the camera as well as the brake lights. Look at all those connections. First thing you gotta do is you gotta remove the video camera, which is just this connector here. You can pry down right here with a flat tip screwdriver, and it's just going to pull out from the connector just like that. Last thing we have is the reverse light. So on this connector, there's a tab on top, and then it just pulls out. So your camera and your backup light are fully removed. Now the diffuser is free to get out of the way. All right, we're gonna take the light and the camera. We're just gonna use a zip tie and put them over here, get them out of the way for now. That way it's not in the way of any fluids draining. Okay, right here we have your drain fill, and down here is where we have your actual drain. Both of these are an 8mm Allen, and we are gonna get those taken off. All right, we're gonna use an 8mm Allen, first with the breaker bar to open up the fill hole so that we vent transmission. All right, let's do the bottom drain. Now we're going gonna take out the filter, and this is a 10mm socket. It's a single up here, and we're just going barely tight. And the 10mm bolt from the filter screws all the way out and comes out, and now we're ready to pry the filter out. All right, we've let that drain for about 30 minutes. We're gonna make sure that the surface is clean. If you got a couple drops or anything like that, that's okay. Now we're gonna go ahead and put the drain plug back in. At first, just hand tight. We are going to torque this to 37 feet-pounds of torque. I can't stress how important it is to not over torque it. You do not want to over torque it. You are going to have a transmission leak. You're not going to notice it, and you're going to hate yourself. Do not use any power tools. 37 feet-pounds, no more. Might have to use a little bit of persuasion. It's been in there for a while. Using a long flat tip screwdriver and a small mallet. Filter, at that point, you've got some O-rings that you've got to get it through. And there's your filter. All right. That is the fluid that came out of my transmission. Don't see any sparklies, if you would. I mean, it's got a little bit of your normal mineral deposits, but nothing glitter-wise that I can tell. Here is the filter that came out. I don't see anything too crazy. It's been in there. I think this has been in there since manufacture, but have no clue. Here is the brand new filter, and I got this from Supercar Garage Atlanta. They are the proud partner of Midlife Crisis, and I buy pretty much all the parts that I can find for my McLaren from them. So hit them up at supercargarageatlanta.com or on Instagram at Supercar Garage Atlanta for any of your McLaren parts. They'll treat you right. Let them know Midlife Crisis sent you. Now we're gonna go back in with the liquid moly full synthetic gear oil. Now this is an SAE 7590 and specifically a GL5. So make sure that when you're doing this, if you can't find the Unicorn Urine McLaren, that you find the closest as possible. The nice part about this is instead of having to use a pump, this comes with a spout that goes up and down. That's going to make it easy for us to get it in that fill hole. We are going to put a little bit of this gear oil on our hand. Wow, that's gold. Golden brown. We're going to lubricate the O-rings on the new filter because this has got to slide into the transmission. So I want to use a little bit of that gear oil to lube up the O-rings so they can slide past. We got a new filter in, and we're just going to press it in. Make sure where the 10mm bolt is that you're going almost directly on it. It only does go in one way, and then obviously you're going to need that to cinch it down. So go ahead and press it in. You might have to use a little bit of force now to get the O-rings past. You don't have to torque this very much. This is a 10mm again, and you're only going to go to 10 newton or 7 feet-pounds of torque. And there she goes, filters in. Now we're gonna put in at least 4 liters of this S75 weight 90 liquid moly synthetic gear oil, but we're gonna go ahead and put in, basically keep on putting it in until it leaks out of this hole, and then that'll be our first fill of the gear oil. And you gotta squeeze real hard to get it all in.
You got me down again.
And you wanna fill it until it starts pouring out a little bit. And there she is, leaking out a little bit. So as for now, we're just gonna go ahead and hand tighten this in and get it snug. Got it tight, let's clean it up. That way we can see if we have any leaks after we start it. All right, now that we've got all of the fluids back in, the first thing we need to do is run the McLaren 650S at an idle for 2 minutes. Let the fluid circulate, and then we need to check for any leaks, and we need to refill it in case it's a little bit low. So let's go ahead and get the McLaren started and let it idle for 2 minutes. Now we're gonna pop that back open and see if we need to add any more fluid. Now, if any comes out and still pours out, then we know it's already full. All right, it's not pouring out, so we're gonna add a little bit more. Oh, there it goes, it started dripping. And now we know that it's full. We're gonna snug that up one more time. Just hand tight, no torque. And now we It says that you're supposed to use with MDS, get the transmission fluid up to 95 degrees Celsius. I don't have MDS. Do what Sean from McMedics did and let it completely warm up where the water and the oil are up to running temperature. And then one must assume that the transmission fluid at that point is at the running temperature you want before we try to add fluid one more time. We're gonna unsnug it one last time and see where she's at. And it's not pouring out, so we need to continue to add fluid till it seeps out one more time. And there it goes, it's dripping out again. And now we can clean it up for the last time. Now we're ready for the final torque. It's gonna be 37 feet-pounds of torque. Give me it back. Now we're all torqued up. As you guys can see, I used almost all of my 5 liters of the gear oil. There is very little left in any of these. There's maybe just a few drops. And so all together, I think it was probably 4.5 to 4.75 liters for the entire transmission. Everything looks good, filters in, everything's buttoned up. We've let it run. Now all we can do is see if she leaks. All right, we are done with the first of the 2 services on my McLaren 650S transmission. We got the transmission fluid change, we got the new filter in there, we let it run to idle, we let it run to temperature, and we have no leaks. Make sure you torque these to the correct specs. I'll leave the specs down in the description below. Now this is only step 1 before we take it on that most important test drive, so I'm not gonna button everything up here today. We're gonna leave it just like it is because we still need to do in the next video the clutch fluid and the clutch filter. So step 1 of 2 to go. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. And as always, thank you so much. I wanna give a special shout out to the Vault for letting me use their lift, basically letting me bug them all day, borrow their tools so I can get this transmission fluid flush done on my McLaren 650S. I want a special thank to Supercar Garage Atlanta for providing the parts. It's been a learning experience to say the least. I've got no faults, I've got no lights on the dash. Obviously, I still need to give it a test drive. God, this is only step 1 of 2. Next step is to replace the clutch fluid as well as the clutch filter and see what that hard knock really was. Can we save my transmission? Can we go, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 RPMs, manual shifting, and it'd be a smooth transition between gears. So if you're invested in this McLaren 650S just like I am, please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about what it is like to change the transmission fluid on a McLaren. Now this is applicable to an MP4-12C, 675 LT, and of course the 650S. As always, thank you for joining in my midlife crisis, and we'll see you next time.